We've got a new brand at Conversational Pace. You familiar with Alexander Hamilton?
Could have been a president. Lost the duel.
He was never satisfied. Are you satisfied, Finn?
Different colorways, markedly different colorways.
You actually got the light one for once.
And I'm actually, I don't know if they pay attention to this channel. I'm actually glad they did, because even though I am a neutral palette drip lord, I do like this vanilla colorway going on here.
Dude,
and
it's creamy. That's cool.
Creamy. Yeah, French vanilla.
This is Satisfy's first shoe that they made. They've done collabs. I think they did a collab with Norda. They did a collab with Hoka. But this is their shoe. This is TheROCKER. One word. Rockers all caps.
Where does that name rank for you? Where does the name rank for you?
TheROCKER? I'm trying to make like a Dwayne Johnson or joke or something, but it's appropriate. It's better. Okay, in my opinion, it's better than the Nike Zagama, because I would never take the Zagama at Zagama.
Yeah.
But this is a rockered shoe, so Satisfy TheROCKER. Before we get going, just want to let everyone know that Satisfy did send us these shoes for free, but we're under no financial obligation to say whether we like the product or not. Actually, we weren't even required to review it, but we want to keep these reviews authentic and beneficial for you, so no one will get to watch or preview this footage before it gets published to YouTube. One thing that I forgot to add that we're just going to clip in, we're recording this after the end of our recording, is that the unboxing experience for Satisfy's TheROCKER is very satisfying. For one, biggest shoebox that's ever made its way through the Conversational Pace studio, for sure. And then the shoes aren't in the box, but I just want to, apologies if I'm spoiling it for anyone, but there's a whole section with just like stickers and like verbiage about the shoe. And then the shoes came in these like little like, what are these, like painters booty sort of things?
It's like what Matthew Blanchard wore across the river at Hard Rock.
Except they're Satisfy branded, and like they're actually pretty nice quality. Like they're much nicer quality than what you'd get at the paint store. The shoes come individually wrapped in those, and I will say it was one of the cooler unboxing experiences that I've had for a running shoe. Quick rundown of the shoe stats for Satisfy's TheROCKER. $280 USD. My pair came in at 10.1 ounces or 286 grams in a men's US size 10. Stack height, we're looking at 27 millimeters in the forefoot, 32 millimeters in the heel for a 5 millimeter drop. The upper is full of awesome branded names, which I actually appreciate. We were talking about this offline, how like Satisfy's, I mean, they are the king of branding, I would say. Like they are one of the best companies in regards to just marketing and hyping up their products. So I appreciate Satisfy for sending us a 24-page deck on the shoe, the inspiration behind it, the design, the tech, all the names. So I'm going to dive through some of it using their verbiage. The upper, it's a one-piece simple like ripstop nylon. They call it Rippy 66 mono mesh. So to quote them, it's a high tenacity mono mesh woven fabric developed by Satisfy. It's got a pretty flexible like non-protective toe bumper that shrinks down into a kind of bathtub style overlay that goes along the bottom of the upper. The eyelets, well, actually not this. The lacing is asymmetrical, and it goes off towards the lateral side of the shoe, which the last shoe that we tested that had asymmetrical lacing was the normal Tomir. That lacing went to the medial side. We will talk about who's right, who's wrong when we dive into the fit. The eyelets are interesting. On the medial side of the shoe, it's like a ghillie style eyelet, but they're like hidden under the overlay. And then on the other side, they're just normal like hole punched eyelets. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they needed to do that for the asymmetrical lacing. It does look kind of cool. I don't know. The tongue is gusseted. It looks like it's an open mesh up top, but it's actually a very like not thick, but just like a suede material that touches your foot, and then this mesh is just simply like adhered to the top of it. We'll talk about whether that actually serves any purpose or not. A pretty deep cut at the top of the tongue, very thin ribbed laces for your tying pleasure. The ankle collar is also made of that same suede material, and there's two very like low density padded units on either side of your heel bone. There is not very much structure in the heel cup. A off-centered pull tab on the back. Yeah, okay. I think that was the upper. Midsole is one slab of foam. It is Euphoria foam, which is a PIBA EVA blend, and it is produced out of 3D printed aluminum molds that make up the last of the shoe. I don't know what the molds of other companies are like for their lasts are made of. So as far as I know, they're all made of aluminum, and Satisfy is just talking about it. I don't know. But their claim is that it's more precise and they can allow for greater detail in the production of the midsole, which I perceive that as they can make it look cooler. Like basically they added all these cool little dots and like words and stuff. I don't know. Maybe they say something.
This is the micro traction of midsoles.
Or it's Braille.
It's Braille.
It says
what if
something.
there's a code on this midsole?
Dude, we're getting into like some Da Vinci Code type stuff. I don't know. I don't know if it does anything, but maybe it's just showing off the tech of the aluminum molds. But it's a pretty simple midsole, pretty long heel and forefoot rocker. Eva PIBA blend. The outsole, also pretty simple. Vibram Mega Grip on the light base. We've got RC car inspired circular lug patterns. That was part of their inspiration for this. 5mm lugs, and they're all round. And we have a lot of micro traction. This is the most micro traction I've ever seen on an outsole. I'll do my best to like zoom in on it, but like this outsole is littered with micro traction. The other thing that was interesting about this is you can see the rubber, the base wraps up slightly around the edge of the midsole foam. And their idea for doing that was that they could then adhere lugs even further out than normal, which would increase the stability, the traction, and durability of the shoe.
Off-camber running, all that kind of stuff.
So there are some design elements in the shoe. It's not just all fashion. Like they put some thought into it regarding running. So we actually did some running in it. Finn, how much running did you do in this shoe?
Dude, don't call it a comeback, but I put 94.7 miles in this shoe.
Oh, snap. You're finally starting to feel recovered from Cocodona.
A little bit, yeah. I'm starting to get back into the reason we're doing this thing. And I mean, a couple things that are going to require context when we get into like the fit of the shoe and stuff, but about half the miles actually I did on the road, which I know to some extent is sacrilegious. I will explain why when we get into the fit of the shoe. And then
I also don't think that's too out of context for this shoe.
No,
as well.
I mean, there's 5mm lugs on this thing, so it's a little awkward.
Yeah, but they're super flat.
They are. They are super flat. And then as soon as I did about half the miles on the road on a 2-week vacation in New York, and then came back to Salt Lake and got right into the mountains and did about 45 miles of like really steep ascent and descent style mountain runs. So tale of two cities here, or a tale of two landscapes. And yeah, I'd have to go. I actually did not write down like the other specs on Strava, like how much ascending and descending. I'm going to ballpark it at like 10 or 11,000 feet of climbing.
Yeah.
Equivalent descending. I think maybe like 19 hours time on feet.
That's solid. I mean,
which is solid.
Those are good testing numbers.
And
Welcome back.
Learned a lot about this shoe because there are other shoes out there where I feel like I have a lot of answers in the first one or two, experiences in the shoe, and I needed 94 miles to get the full story here. I'll put it that way.
I didn't quite need all. I ran 88 miles in this shoe, 18 and a half hours time on feet, and about 16,500 feet of elevation gain. And like you, I also did not have like an opinion on this shoe after one or two runs. Usually I could tell like 2 runs in, I'm like, oh, this is what I'm going to say in the review. And like, that doesn't change usually. But because it's conversational pace and we run in our shoes a lot, we still continue to try and hit the 100-mile mark, even though we might be able to predict what we're going to say.
Yeah.
This was one of those ones where like I definitely had a strong opinion after like 1 or 2 runs, and then it changed quite a bit. I did most of my running in Ashland here and like the non-technical, fast and verty, dry trails. But I also did run in this shoe for the week that we were up in Tahoe for Western States. So I did get to do one long run on the Broken Arrow course in this shoe, which was definitely like rockier and more technical than perhaps I would have taken this shoe.
Were you in this shoe for the follow camp stuff on race day?
No, I wore the On Cloud Ultra Pro. I needed something that I knew I was going to be fast in. Okay. I couldn't risk it for that, like, because that legit felt like race day. Like, you don't
double threshold. You said
you don't mess with things on race day, so I wore what I knew was going to work. Let's talk about the fit and the upper. I remember texting you when I first got the shoe and was like, oh no, Finn, this shoe, like when I tried it on for the first time, right out of the box, I thought it was really tight. And if I think a shoe is really tight right out of the box, like there's a chance you don't even get it on your foot. And at that point, I hadn't run it, so I didn't know if if it was going to break in, if any additional volume was going to free up or anything. But before I go any further, what were your actual first impressions putting the shoe on?
Okay. 3 or 4 things to say here. The first is to speak to the level of tightness that you're corroborating here. This shoe was so tight on me that for the first 5 to 6 runs, all of which were on the road, I couldn't even put a sock on. I had to wear this shoe barefoot.
That's insane.
Because here's the thing. This shoe, I believe, I'm a size 12. This shoe is true to size lengthwise.
Yes.
No dispute that. For me, like lengthwise, it is true to size, but it is so low volume up front for I think multiple reasons.
It's like a marathon racing flat.
Yeah, it is. Exactly. It was sitting.
Which is also interesting because I also forgot to say this shoe is built on a custom width platform. So the heel is a D width, which is your standard width, but then the forefoot is an E width, which is a true wide is 2E, so it's kind of halfway between normal and wide, which I do feel like that E width is there. But like you said, they didn't increase the volume of the forefoot appropriately. So you have to have like a literal flipper, I think, for this shoe to work like perfectly for your foot.
The redeeming quality here, for me at least, even though it is a low volume shoe, for this material up front that's sitting on your metatarsals, toes, etc., it's not an oppressive material. Like, I wasn't getting any hot spots. It wasn't creating too many issues. The only thing I will say, and nothing really changed for me from mile 0 to 94, and I think it might have to do with the way this whole lacing structure, this asymmetrical thing is happening, but I could never quite get the entirety of my toes in alignment up front. Like my pinky toe on both sides was always catching kind of around the end of this asymmetrical lacing pattern, and it wasn't like following the rest of my foot. It never, I didn't get any hot spots. It just felt weird every time I was running. Like the pinky toe was unnecessarily like trailing behind the rest of my foot.
It's almost like crooked lacing made for a crooked fit.
Exactly. A little bit. And again, like I never had any blisters, no issues like that. The only issue I had here, and again, I did the first 50 miles basically barefoot. I was very skeptical. Like every time I took the shoe out, it didn't feel out of the box ready.
Dude, I can't believe you wore it barefoot.
I was paranoid. And so the reason I did all this road running is because I was afraid that if I went on a long run, I'd be caught in the middle of nowhere with a shoe that I like desperately needed to take off. So I was doing these like 5-mile loops from my in-laws' house, all on the road. The only issue that I ran into is if you don't like, there's this material here on the heel cup that, like, when it came with the shoe, it kind of stood up.
Yeah.
And after my third or fourth run, I actually put it down and used it for a little bit of extra protection because this material here is actually pretty darn sharp.
It's kind of like Norda 001 type.
Exactly.
Sharpness.
Yeah. And so on the third or fourth run, it was like a particularly humid day out there. It was catching on sort of like my Achilles and just heel area.
And you're also sockless still.
And I was sockless, and I sent you a photo, and I was bleeding my own blood, man. Like this thing
it
ripped
looked like
open.
you. Yeah, it looked like your Achilles got sliced in half.
Yeah. To be fair to satisfy, I did have a scab there, and it simply shaved that scab off and then did its work.
And you weren't wearing socks.
And I wasn't wearing socks.
So if you're racing a triathlon, don't pick this shoe.
Yeah. So and again, like,
but then eventually you were able to put socks on?
yeah, and then and I'd say about 50 miles in, the shoe sufficiently broke in. I was able to put actually some pretty like thick, like I have a pair of Caleb's Nike socks here, like heavy cotton socks.
Oh, nice.
And I went from like no socks to like a heavy cotton Nike sock, and it was honestly fine. I did a 3-hour run in this as my last run a few days ago. I don't know where the barrier is for like when your feet can start to swell up, but like the only remaining open question I have is like, if you get into that like 5-hour, 10-hour, 15-hour territory, when does the swelling thing become an issue? Because again, like I didn't notice any volume changes up front here. Like this stuff didn't like inflate or create more. There was no more space in that came about. There was just a little bit more flexibility.
I think a little bit of space got created when this insole packed in. Like if you take out this insole, I bet your forefoot is completely flat now, whereas right out of the box it was pretty thick. But this insole provides no cushion after about 20 miles, which for me was a good thing because then it created a little bit of volume down below. So I noticed that after about 20 miles the shoe started to feel a little bit less tight than initially did, and then I was keeping tabs on like, well, is it going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then I'm like in an airplane hangar after like 75 or 80 miles, but the fit didn't really change after about like 25 miles for me. The reason I guess we're talking about this so much is that both of us thought that the shoe was going to be unusable, but then after a period of like forcing a break in, it did become usable, which is going to be tricky for some people who buy the shoe because you're going to put it on. You're going to be like, wow, I hate this. But you kind of need to give it time.
Yeah. And I wonder, I don't know if you've heard this before, but I heard someone at TRE saying that like in Europe, there's more patience that goes beyond out of the box for a shoe experience. And in America, it's
Americans are so impatient.
Americans are so impatient. It's like, it needs to be perfect, like out of the box. And I wonder if they just came at it from like a European perspective where it's like, give it some time and it's going to work for you. But for Americans, they might be too impatient.
Yeah. I mean, with that being said, the shoes that like take time to break in out of the box don't break in better than the shoes that are like really good to go right out of the box. Like those ones just also have stayed excellent. So it's like, can I just have both, please? But it ended up being good. Did you have any durability problems with this upper? Because it's like thin material. I mean, I had no wear or like, you know,
dude,
there's no signs of wear on mine.
No durability issues. And to be fair, just like I should say some of the wins here. I think that this material that sits on like the metatarsals of your toe, like very, very, like honestly, like
I think it's pretty good.
On the outside, it feels like it could end up being starchy and like irritating, but it's not. Like it actually sits on the feet pretty well. And
it's super thin.
What were you calling this piece right here in the description?
I just called it a toe bumper, and I just said it was kind of rubbery.
But it's a very rubbery, soft toe bumper.
It almost feels like
forgiving.
It feels like a bicycle inner tube.
Yeah. So I think even despite being a low volume shoe, I think the materials sat fairly, like it was pressing comfortably.
Yeah, I thought it was comfortable for sure. The one spot that I had a little issue with was on the really low density heel pads. When I would hike up, I did some one long run where I went up some really steep stuff, and when I was going up like 30% grade and like, you know, my heel was way off the ground, this heel pad material was like folding over and creating like an awkward crease on the back of my heel, and I did get like a little blister on that run. So pretty much I avoided anything like really steep in that shoe because I just wanted like a little bit more like traditional structured heel cup with just like normal padding. That was the only time it was an issue though. But other than that, like I thought the lockdown was actually pretty solid too. Again, still I'm still not totally sold on the asymmetrical lacing. Like I just don't feel like it brings any extra value to me. Like it looks cool, but like I think normal like straight down the middle lacing would have been just as good, and it would have been more familiar to lace up, and perhaps would have not had those crooked pinky toe issues. Because I also had a little bit of pinky toe pressure, not like on the edge of the shoe, but on like this like far corner of like the eyelets when it would like tighten up and press down.
Yeah, same thing.
Again, not an issue, but like probably something that wouldn't exist if it was just like straight up and down lacing.
Can I say one more thing about the upper?
Oh yeah.
I feel like, so this material here, I feel like it just represents sort of like indecision around what you want. like this, like I think we're seeing
not a gator.
It's not a gator, but a lot of brands are going towards this like booty look up here with this material to kind of prevent debris from coming in. And I feel like
it's definitely like, also to hide this stitch that goes across the top.
Yeah,
because it's kind of hard plastic up there.
Yeah, and I guess you can start to fold it over, but it just it to me, except for the ability to kind of close this here and prevent some of the chafing happening on the heel, it feels like wasted material. And I feel like you either got to own the full booty thing or just like accept that debris is going to come in.
You heard it here first. Finn Melanson says you need to own the booty.
Own the booty.
Let's talk about the midsole.
Yeah. When you say something is euphoric, you have a lot to live up to.
My first impressions and continued impressions for this midsole are two things. One, the really long heel and forefoot rocker make for a very smooth ride, and this foam is pretty soft and bouncy. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Like across the board there, I agree. I know that if you look at pretty much every shoe, like the foam is going to taper as you get closer to the forefoot. For some reason with this shoe, I felt a pronounced amount of support under the arch with the foam.
Yes.
And then honestly, like an unusual amount of ground feel towards the front.
It thins out quite a bit towards the forefoot.
Yeah.
Like almost, I tempted to say imbalanced. Like it felt like for how much it felt like there was in the arch and the heel, I expected more under the forefoot. But on the other hand, like maybe that's what kind of keeps the ride being somewhat fun and nimble, is that there is a little bit less in the forefoot, which had me worried about efforts over like, 3, 4, 5 hours. Like would my forefoot actually start to get kind of sore? Because I feel like it was like right on the bubble for that. But I also noticed that like with the rocker and like, would we say it was like 27 in the forefoot?
Yeah.
That's not that thick. It's like right in that medium stack category. So, yeah, I echo that. It's like it thins out a little bit by the toes for sure. Did you feel like it was too soft or the ride changed at all? Because one of the themes that we've had this year is like new foams and foam blends that are soft and bouncy, but then like don't seem to last very well. Like how has the ride of yours felt from like run number 1 through mile 90 something?
Dude, for me, the first impression is still the impression.
It
like
still feels pretty much the same.
It's still there. Yeah, I'm actually really impressed with the durability of that sensation, like that feeling of plushness.
Yeah,
the
I agree.
Underneath.
I ran for 3 hours in this shoe yesterday, 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But 2 hours and 40 minutes with like 3,600 feet of climbing and descending yesterday, like all hard pack stuff. And I was like, dude, this foam's actually still like nice and soft and bouncy. It's interesting though. It's bouncy like in a long run bounce sort of way, but like I'm not trying. It doesn't. To me, it didn't feel good when I was trying to run like really fast. Like it didn't have quite enough responsive. Like I felt like there was like a pocket of pace where this foam felt really nice because it was like almost not quite responsive enough when trying to do like actual harder workouts, but like any long runs or just like picking up the tempo on descents. I was like, oh yeah, I like the durometer of this foam. I like you can feel that there's a little bit of PIBA in it. Like it doesn't feel like just a normal EVA foam. You can like tell when you run. You're like, there's something going on here, and it's kind of nice.
Dude, I don't know. Are you seeing any creasing?
I've got some on the like medial side. I've got some creasing, but it's like it could be purely cosmetic.
I have remarkably low amounts of creasing with my midsole foam right now, at least on the outside. The only thing that I'm seeing, which is concerning to me, is I'm starting to see almost a split, a separation happening between the midsole and the outsole here.
Oh, really?
Which is crazy. Yes.
Huh. Is it starting to? Is it like actually starting to disengage?
Look at the difference. Look at the line.
Oh yeah, the line is a little bit thicker, like thicker there.
Really interesting.
I don't see any of that on mine. That's interesting. I wonder if you're getting like midsole foam like overlap because the foam like squishes and like hangs over the like cup sole of the outsole.
Right.
I don't know. Moving on to the outsole, what did you think of the what is it, tuned lugs?
This is the first time I've ever seen this on an outsole.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen just like dots before.
Just dots. But again, like I feel like it's just, it's classic Satisfy. It's a way to zig while everyone else is zagging. And honestly, a lot of them have held up pretty well. Where I'm seeing the most wear for me is on the lateral side. Like these lugs, the ones that you mentioned that are starting to stick out, like this is totally shaved. I've lost most of the depth there, and it's true on both sides. So again, it probably has more to do with my biomechanics, but
and like a bunch of road miles too.
And a bunch of road miles.
Like
but yeah, I'm seeing the most wear on the lateral side lugs towards the back.
Yeah, I've got like almost no wear across my lugs. Like I think for where I run, this lug pattern is actually pretty awesome because it's not pointy and doesn't wear down. Like there's just a ton of surface area. With that being said, on like steeper stuff, when I wanted more bite, I didn't feel like the bite was there because these lugs are round and they're very flat. So like from a grip standpoint, I thought it was fine, but I think for those who are actually going to need good grip in the form of like lug shape, this is not probably going to be your outsole. One thing I was thinking, I was like, if these were represented as cookies, I would just like to take a bite out of the bottom side of all the cookies in the forefoot and take a bite out of the top side out of all the cookies in the heel. So that way I would get a kind of claw in one direction and a claw in the other direction. Mm-hmm. Then it would honestly actually look like most other outsoles out there, but that would be my change, and that would actually shave off a good amount of rubber on the outsole. The shoe would lose some weight too. Not that it's heavy, but
it is interesting, like you said earlier, the shape of these lugs make road running not out of the question.
No, the lugs made this feel like a road outsole because there's so much, which I guess kind of brings us to like, I guess the question I wanted to ask was, what do you think this shoe is best for from a training standpoint? We'll talk about racing after, but from a training standpoint, where do you put this shoe?
Remind me the price point again.
I mean, $280. Does that really matter for a Satisfy product?
No, it doesn't. Actually, that's actually, it sounds like a deal.
It's downright cheap. I honestly expected this to be $400.
Yeah, exactly.
But after writing down some competitors and their prices, which we'll dive into in a bit, I now know, I understand why it's $280, but it's $280.
This, I think, in conversational pace history, this is the most confused that I've ever been about where to place a shoe in my quiver.
Really?
Yeah. How about you?
I enjoyed this shoe for mellow miles on dirt roads, door to trail to like mild technicality single track. I didn't love this shoe. Like when I did that long run up in Tahoe on the Broken Arrow course, I got a little squirrely. I didn't love it in the technical terrain, partly because of how rounded the heel is and how flimsy the heel collar is. It felt like the shoe was going to like twist out from under my foot.
Yeah.
That's where I just wish for a little bit more structure in the back heel. So in my training week, this shoe is going in like most of my easy recovery runs and most of just like my easy trail runs. Also can easily be the long run shoe, but I'm not going to throw this on for like any of my harder running because I just didn't love the way the midsole felt from a responsive feeling at like harder paces.
So that brings up an interesting question for me to you, which is if you are a brand, how important or unimportant is it for your debut shoe to be something that your team can race in versus something that kind of like just exists on the sidelines in training?
Well, like, would you rather debut a shoe that like 3 people can race in or are going to race in, or thousands of people can just run in? Like, I feel like from a brand, like a launch standpoint, it makes sense for Satisfy to come out with a shoe like this that people can just buy and run in. Because when I think about where I am being influenced to buy Satisfy's product, it's not at the very tippy top of the competitive side of the sport. I'm like seeing it at like cool run club marketing activations and like photo shoots and stuff. And then in like that case, it's like, well, I want to buy the shoe that I can just go run in and like, you know, feel cool in. And like, that's this shoe. So for Satisfy, I don't feel like it needed to be a racer as their debut shoe.
I think that's good rationale. And I think to that point, like if one thing that I haven't said that I should say now is it's a remarkable shoe. Like you just like wearing it, you're looking at it. Like I walking, like again, like I walked into a supermarket with this. And
It's cool looking. It's a cool looking shoe.
Hey, my eyes are up here. Okay.
It's
like,
one of those.
It's one of those shoes. Like this, I think it's a beautiful shoe. Actually, I think
it looks great. The silhouette, awesome.
It's a
the
beautiful
colors,
shoe.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, in a run club context, in a social context, in like a YouTube creator and IG creator context, it's going to have that appeal.
Yeah. Like, it's funny how, like, you know, normally you go out to like the cocktail party, you know, you put on your blazer and like your nice shoes and stuff. When you go to like some run clubs, it's basically that equivalent now. Like if I'm going to like the Rogue Valley Runners Wednesday evening group run and I haven't been in a while, like you can be sure as hell I'm showing up in my Satisfy shoes.
And hey, I mean, we have seen it. Jamil Curry raced Western States in this thing, right?
Yep, he did run Western States.
In Hard Rock? Did he race Hard Rock in it?
No, he threw on his old trusty classics, the Solomon Ultra Glide 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which he had a pair stashed in his closet for years, and then they started to de-lam on him because they were sitting in his closet for so long. But he said they still did the job. So would you race in this shoe?
No. But not in like I didn't mean to say that in a dismissive way. I just have there's too many for the racing that I do, which is like 100 miles and multi-day stuff. Yeah. I need shoes that can accommodate like just the change in my foot shape and like swelling and stuff like that. And I don't think that this shoe can accommodate. I doubt that this shoe can accommodate the changes in my feet.
Right.
Over longer.
Yeah, and I'm kind of on the opposite end because I've been doing like lots of shorter races recently in that like 50K to 50 mile range, and I don't see myself racing in it because I didn't feel like it was really performance oriented enough. I did write down though that I would consider it as my like 100-mile blow up shoe because it's very comfortable. So if it's like I'm not trying to if I'm like sick and tired of my plated full super foam shoes, this is a very comfortable one that I could see myself throwing on. You know, I said that same thing about the Mountain Coast T1. Same deal with this one. But I don't think I would be able to do a full like 100-mile from start to finish in it because of that slightly thinner cushion in the forefoot.
Yeah. I want to pull up, I just pulled up another tab because I wanted to see if this guy, the footwear designer that Satisfy brought in, I think he was from Jean Marc, right? Jean Marc
Was he
something.
from North Face? Solomon? North Face?
Oh, and he was on Debo's podcast, I think, too. I should know because I listened to it. Anyways, I think it's interesting that Satisfy is bringing in someone with his pedigree and I believe like decade plus of experience in trail.
And this shoe was pretty much already done by the time they brought him in. So Satisfy is thinking future.
Yeah.
So while I have no idea, my prediction for Satisfy is that they are going to have multiple shoes in the future.
What's your letter grade for debut shoe?
Dude,
With a lot of factors at play.
I think it's a B. Like, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
There's like a few little fit issues, but like the materials and the execution of it all is pretty good. Like, we were both able to log nearly our 100 miles of testing in it.
Yeah.
It took a little bit of time for it to come around, but it did, and then it like is now pretty good. So like that's solid. And yeah, it's funny. I mean, let's talk about some of the competitor shoes and the value. It's $280. That is expensive for a pair of shoes. And like, there's like shoes that aren't this expensive that are just as good are like Hoka Challenger, North Face Alta Mesa 500, Nike Wild Horse. Like, those are all like very great. Nike Pegasus Trail. Like, those are all like those can do everything that this shoe can, and they're half the price. But Satisfy, you're paying for the Satisfy name too, and like it's a nicely engineered shoe. So like Speedland GS series shoes, $275. Norda 001, $285. Satisfy, $280. This completes the trio of those three shoes, like Norda 001, Speedland GS, whatever they're on, Cocodona, Satisfy TheROCKER. They're all within $10 of each other. And now you can complete, like, especially for Satisfy, you can complete your kit because they actually also do apparel, whereas like Norda and Speedland don't really. So, I mean, the value is in the eye of the beholder for this one, I would say.
Yeah. And I mean, I was just on the Satisfy's website. They have running pants and rain shells and long sleeve shirts that are 30, 40, $50 more expensive than this shoe.
Yeah,
And
I mean, when you just buy one,
not
you
price
can,
sensitive.
yeah, you can buy one pair of shorts that cost the same as the shoe. I mean, if we're looking just at Satisfy's catalog, this is their best value product.
Yeah,
Probably by a long shot.
yeah.
I don't know. Do you think Satisfy needed to make a shoe? That's my question for the audience is, did Satisfy need to make a shoe?
I think it speaks to a larger question, which is like with Satisfy, they have clearly tried to cater to a very niche section of the pre-existing market and also bring in people from another part of the luxury world that might be interested in running. And to me, it begs the question of like, when you've created that ecosystem, to what extent do you just build the entire world? Where like head to toe, you just have an option across the board.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like, I think it makes perfect sense for Satisfy to make a shoe. And I'm glad that they did. I actually think, in my mind, for me, it legitimizes them as a running brand more for me. Because while this is a very fashionable shoe, it's also actually very useful too. So I think this makes Satisfy more legit of a company to me. And like you said, now you can have full head to toe Satisfy kit for your evening group runs and happy hours. At the time of recording, it's not out yet, and it just says coming summer 2025, so we don't really know exactly when it's coming out, but I think it's going to be soon. Knowing my luck, it'll probably come out before I finish editing this video, but yeah, this was a good one. I'm curious to hear what everyone thinks and if they will be trying out the Satisfy TheROCKER. What do we got next?
Sportiva?
La Sportiva Prodigio Max is next because we got that in, and I think that one's also kind of out-ish right now. Like, it's on their website, but like fully sold out.
Yeah, and maybe to prime the audience, you were saying earlier to start to think about which brands have the best 1-2 punch shoes for
For
a
like
given
training
quiver.
training and racing.
Training and
with
racing, yeah.
La Sportiva being the Prodigio Max and Prodigio Pro.
Yeah.
Anyways, some food for thought. Thanks for watching this episode of Conversational Pace. See everybody in the next one.